This is the Kia Picanto GT, and I've had the pleasure of having this car over the last 3 months. I've done 8,000 kilometers with this car so far, and I've done a variety of different driving. I've gone from Brisbane to Sydney and back, I've hit the mountain roads, and I've just lived with it day to day, and it's really been an excellent car, and it's been really fun too. But the time has come, unfortunately, to hand the keys back to Kia Australia, which I'm pretty sad about because this thing is a lot of fun to drive. We're going to talk about the things I've loved so far in the 3 months and things that could be improved a little bit as well. So let's dive straight in and look at everything to do with the 2022 Kia Picanto GT.
Chasing cars, honest reviews of your next car. Brought to you by
Budget Direct.
So one of the first things that's really awesome about this car is the engine. Now, it may be tiny at just 1 litres of displacement, but it makes up for it in punch. It's only got 74 kilowatts and 172 Newton meters, but it's still a lot of fun, and it has a really characterful little engine note to it, which is really addictive. So this little 3-cylinder turbocharged engine is mated to a 5-speed manual transmission. So we'll talk a little bit about that later and what I think about the manual. So one thing I really love about the Kia Picanto GT is its price point. This car is priced at $20,490 before on-road costs, making it one of the cheapest warm hatches on the market. These Kia Picantos get even cheaper. You can get a base S variant for $15,990 before on-road costs. It is the cheapest car on sale in Australia. One of the best parts of this Kia Picanto GT is its fuel use. It is really good on fuel. I was averaging about 4.9 to 5 litres per 100 kilometers combined, and that's with a range of highway and city driving. That's really impressive and something that someone will really want to care about when they're driving in the city. You don't want to be filling up all the time. The only slight downside about fuel for this car is its fuel tank. It's only 35 litres in size, so you go through it kind of quickly, but you'll still get about 500 to 600 kilometers of range per fill. Now, don't be entirely fooled by this GT badge. Now, this is the flagship Kia Picanto, but that doesn't mean that it's a super hot hatch like an Audi RS3 or an A45. Instead, it's much more of a warm hatch, which I think is fine. But I think this could be called a GT line rather than a GT product. So here we are inside the Kia Picanto GT. Now, how do you know it's a GT from the inside? Well, there's plenty of red happening on the doors and on the seats, and even a little bit of red stitching on the leather steering wheel as well. That's sort of what the nice points are over, say, a GT line model. Now, it's pretty basic in here, but for $20,490 before on-road cost, that is understandable. There is some hard plastics here and there, but it is all to be expected. We've only got single zone climate control, but it's a small car. You probably don't need dual zone climate control. Other than that, it's all very functional. Everything works as it should do. The 8-inch touchscreen is really excellent. It has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. For a car at this price, that's pretty impressive. It works really well. It's responsive, it's fast. It's all that you really need in a cheap car like this. And one of the best parts is the sound system. It's actually really good. It's a 6-speaker sound system, and I love blasting the tunes in this thing. It sounds really good for the money. And also included on this car is autonomous emergency braking, which is great for a small car. So it's a forward collision warning system. It's really good. It has come up on me a few times, which is really good. Great to have that safety feature on board the Kia Picanto GT. And also, I find that just driving, the steering wheel buttons are really excellent. They're really easy to use, really functional, and you've also got your cruise control and all your volume buttons on here as well. So one of the not so good things about inside of the Kia Picanto is the seats. Now, the seats just lack a little bit of side-to-side bolstering, which I think is really important. If you do take the car up the mountains and you want to have some fun, you do seem to slip and slide in the seat a bit, and they don't sort of tuck you in as you would like. So this Kia Picanto GT comes in a 5-speed manual. Now, it's really fun using the manual, but the one thing that I was a little bit disappointed by was that the throw is quite long, and it didn't feel particularly sporty considering that this is a warm hatchback. So if this was a little bit shorter, that would have been a lot better, made you feel a little bit more involved with the car. But other than that, pretty good. So, sitting in the back of the Kia Picanto GT, look, it is a little bit squishy for a big bloke like me. It is a little bit tight in terms of knee room. There's a little bit of headroom there, but if there is someone with long legs sitting in the front seat, you are going to be restricted with how much room you have back here. Perfect for kids, Probably not so much for long commutes with adults. So in the back of the Picanto GT, there are no rear air vents, but it is a small car, so you will get the air coming through from the front. Now there is a few scratchy plastics in the back here too, which is to be expected in a car of this price point. The Kia Picanto may be small, but it does have a 255 litre boot, which would be perfect for shopping and day-to-day errands. Look, I wouldn't go camping in it, but we do have a camp chair here, and it does fit just. So you might be wondering, did we have any problems with the Kia Picanto GT during our 3 months of ownership? Well, we didn't, which is really good. No rattles, no squeaks, no bangs, no nothing. It was absolutely perfect. In terms of running costs, the Kia Picanto GT has a long warranty at 7 years or unlimited kilometres. The servicing is oddly expensive for a small car, averaging $387 annually for the first 5 years. In terms of insurance, in the last 12 months, the median budget direct customer spent $680 to comprehensively insure a new Kia Picanto GT. Everybody's situation varies, and your premium will vary based on things insurers take into account, like where you live, how you drive, and where you garage your car. So out on the road in the Kia Picanto GT, this thing is an absolute riot. It only weighs about just over 1,000 kilos, so it's very light on its feet, and it gets up in boogies even with the relatively small engine that it has. So as we've talked about before, it's a 1 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine, and it has outputs of 74 kilowatts and 172 newton meters of torque. And it is a really, really fun little thing, and it's really quite boosty, especially in second gear like that. It just feels awesome, and it's got this really characteristic little thrum from that offbeat 3-cylinder engine. You don't get that a lot in a lot of cars, so it's kind of unique to have that. It's almost a bit GR Yaris in a way. Now in terms of suspension, the Kia Picanto GT does have sportier suspension, the company claims. However, I don't know really how much sportier it would be than a GT line variant. Still, it's pretty good. It rides well on the highway. I did the Brisbane to Sydney journey in it, and it was pretty comfortable. These seats are good. They do lack a little bit of refinement in terms of bolstering, but other than that, happy days. Now, one of the kind of funny things about the Kia Picanto GT is the fact that when you're on the highway and a truck goes past you, the whole car actually sort of moves about, which is pretty funny. Because it's so light, as I said, it's just over 1,000 kilos. So you do have to keep your wits about you if you're driving on the highway at those 110 kilometer speed limits. Now, talking about the manual shifter, we did talk about this before. It is a little bit long. It's not as sporty as I would have liked for a Kia GT product. I think they could have really shortened the throw to make it a little bit more exciting and a little bit more engaging for the driver. Now, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles in terms of standard safety equipment like lane departure warning, lane keep assist, or any of that jazz. It just has AEB, but that's still good. It will save you if you do come up too close to the car in front, or if there is an accident ahead of you. It is a great feature to have. I think every car should have it now. So the Kia Picanto GT is also kind of unique. It's in a class of its own. Now this is more of a warm hatch than a hot hatch, say like a Volkswagen Golf GTI. But I think it's got a little bit more sporting intent than something like the MG3. And the Kia Picanto GT is definitely a cheap car as well. Even in flagship GT guys, just like this car here, it's $20,490 before on-road costs, which I think is kind of reasonable considering the technology you get inside, the little turbocharged engine. Now this Picanto GT in top flagship guys, look, it is not a hot hatch, but it is a warm hatch. And we've tested it at our facility and we got around 9 seconds to 100, which is pretty impressive for a car like this. Now that 1,000 kilogram weight would definitely be helping that. So to summarize with the Kia Picanto GT, look, it's been an absolute riot to have this on test for 3 months. I've really enjoyed it. And for the most part, it is an excellent car and is one I would really recommend for a first time buyer. At $24,990 before on-road costs, it is achievable for someone when they're getting their first car. And I think it is a really good option. If you don't want to get the GT, there is also the S and the GT line variant as well. The S starts at $15,990 before on-road costs, which I think is a really good deal. It is the cheapest car on sale in Australia. So with the Picanto GT, look, it's a really lovable little car. Everyone at Chasing Cars really enjoyed driving it around, and I loved it too. It's cheap to run, it's good on fuel, it's got a really characterful little engine, and it is just a riot around town. And I drove it all the way from Brisbane to Sydney and back, and I really enjoyed it. It was pretty comfortable too. So I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the Kia Picanto GT? Leave a comment down below, and while you're there, like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching Chasing Cars.